Hello everyone and happy Sunday. I am in a new little setup which I am in love with. I've actually got a magnolia piece of art coming next week hopefully, but for now the palm trees will do. I'm about to jump on and record some of the video lessons for the Mind Body Soul Awakening course, which is coming together so beautifully. Honestly, as I sit here and work on it, the little pieces that keep weaving in just feel so delicious and divine, and I'm really grateful for those of you that have already signed up. If you are interested and sitting on the fence, have any questions, please reach out. I am also going to record a separate video on that topic soon, but this video is on a particular topic that feels really important because over the last 48 to 72 hours I've had some experiences, particularly whilst I've been sleeping, that have been far from pleasant. And I want to share a bit about that with you all so that the lessons that I've learned from this you can take with you and maybe recognize some of how this might be showing up in your own world. Now, I might start with just what has been happening and then kind of the pieces that have fallen or come through for me following that actually weaves a whole bunch of stuff together. And this really does relate to a video and a healing that I shared a couple of months ago on the importance of us coming back and connecting with ourselves as we navigate the world at the moment as to what feels right and true for us. And when I shared that video, really that was about things that were going to be all over our social media, over our news, over maybe our conversations with people that may not feel true to you, and trying to come back to yourself so you can navigate what's going to be a really complex and tricky time for all of us as we move through the next 12 months. What I didn't recognize at that point in time is that possibly there was more to that than I had realized. Well, actually not possibly, I'm now have been on the receiving end of that. And so I want to share a little bit about what's been going on. So as I said, over the last 48 to 72 hours, I've had some events take place that just have not felt nice. Mostly they have happened whilst I've been asleep, and I am certain that it's had something to do with some dark energies or entities trying to attach themselves to me in some way. I am assuming this has happened during my sleep because I'm less consciously able to hold my light there, and maybe they're able to get in more easily. And as I've reflected on what's taken place there, it's just yuck to even think about. I've got all of my protective tools around me right now. As I've reflected on what has taken place there, and maybe I should share a bit about that. The first night I had my first ever episode of sleep paralysis, which I'm not saying itself is a dark or negative thing, but the energy I felt related to that wasn't fear, like I can't move. It was like I was not scared of not being able to move. It felt so dark and heavy, the energy around me, that all I remember in that is not trying to move myself or do anything that you can't do in those episodes, but I was just like so desperately trying to call light down into myself to rid these energies that were around me. And I'm really grateful that I'd recently heard a podcast on sleep paralysis, so once I did wake up in the morning and reflected on that a little bit, I recognized it wasn't the sleep paralysis piece itself, but that there were some energies that surrounded that experience for me that were unpleasant. The following night, I slept with my crystals around me. I set intentions before I went to bed. I listened to my normal sleep frequency music and had a good night's sleep. Then last night, I tried a different playlist for sleep frequency music that was actually for dreaming and astral projection. I haven't listened to that playlist before, and I had another experience, not of sleep paralysis, but of waking up in the middle of the night with really heavy dark energy around me, and a word that came to my mind as soon as I got up to go to the bathroom confirmed that whatever was trying to tap into me in that realm that we go to when we're sleeping was not of the light, and definitely not for the best and highest good of all. So that's not been nice. I've taken my response to this very seriously as someone that turns up, does energy work, is trying to walk this path of light. It's making me emotional saying this. Yeah, it's been not a nice experience. It's been a learning experience. And today I've been doing all of the things that I can do to disconnect myself from this energy. And to be honest, it hasn't felt like the energy has gotten in me, but it has tried, and I'm just trying to clear any connection or attachment of this energy to me, and also be really mindful of not falling into a fear mindset. So that's what has been happening. What I might speak about what I've been doing in the last few days first, and then what I have been doing today. A couple of things here. So I've spent the last few days alone. I've been working on my course, but also I've had a bit of time to just tap into little bits and pieces that draw my attention. My couch right now is covered in books that I've pulled off my bookshelf because I've had like things come through in meditations or downloads that have been like, go grab this book and open a page, and then that thing is on the page. And so there's been, my guides have been trying to get me to information that I need right now to kind of piece all the pieces of the puzzle together of downloads that I'm getting, that's been beautiful. The trap I fell into, the rabbit hole I went down, was to then go searching for content that confirmed, reaffirmed the messages that were coming through for me. And that, honestly, I enjoyed it, because it was like, oh yeah, that's what I had come through in my meditation. Oh yeah, that all makes sense. It all pieces together like this. And I actually think a lot of that information and content that I've tapped into the last 2 days has been true. And that's what I meant before about there's more to our need to connect to ourselves than just the truth piece, because all of this information that I've been connecting with has felt true. I have been doing that. I've been tapping back into, yeah, that feels right. Yeah, that feels right. Yeah, that is aligned with how this is all feeling like it fits in together for whatever the message is that I might be looking into at that point in time. And so what my first response was this morning, as I sat with, why is this happening and what do I need to do to disconnect myself from obviously something that has lowered my vibration to some degree to be a energetic match with this energy that's trying to come in and attach itself to me, was that, and I think maybe there is still some truth in this, is that those bits of content that I've been tapping into, yes, have been true, but maybe they have been eliciting some subconscious fear within me. And so the initial message that I worked through was, you already have this information coming to you, Donna. We're giving you what, we being my guides, are giving you what you need to know right now to walk this path that you are on. You don't need to know the ins and outs, the hows, the whys, the whos, because that doesn't help you on your path. That doesn't serve me. And I think a piece of that is that it certainly doesn't serve my personality type that is prone to landing in a fear timeline. And I was like, got it, absolutely. Off TikTok I come. Really trying to pull away from Instagram and other social media, anything more than I need to do to get this business going that I'm pouring my heart and soul into at the moment. And so I want to just take a moment to just reinforce those two messages, that we have to come back to ourselves to work out, does whatever we are listening to, hearing, even maybe the messages that we are receiving, because I also saw a video this morning about messages coming in that aren't you and that aren't resonating like your truth. So even messages that we are receiving, does this feel true? Does this feel aligned with my higher self, with the true essence of me and my authentic self? Big key, number one. But two, does this feel like an energetic match for me? How do I feel when I'm watching this content? I'll come back to that. Is there a chance that I don't need to know this? What is making me seek out this content? Is it my ego wanting to confirm? the downloads that I've been receiving? Is it me wanting to know all of the information so I can control this timeline? Is it something that is actually not in alignment with the path that I'm trying to walk, the path of sovereignty, the path of surrender, the path of hope and trust and faith and love? And really, if I'm honest with myself, me diving into all of this wasn't that. Like, yes, I was curious. Yes, I love learning. Yes, it was holy moly an eye-opening 72 hours for me. But I didn't need to know any of that to walk this path. And there no doubt was a bit of ego at play of, this is real. These downloads that are coming through are real. And thank goodness I'm not going crazy. I'm not whatever. But as I've sat with that a little bit more today and have disconnected from the energy, so I've actually allowed my channel to reopen, because what happens, I've had a very smaller scale episode of this happen probably a couple of times previously, and what I notice when this happens is that my channel cuts off, and I'm assuming that is intentional to keep my channel free of this energy being able to get in, and I'm very grateful for whatever mechanism that seems to happen in. So I certainly felt that first thing this morning, and there's probably a fear piece in that as well. But as I've disconnected from this energy today, stayed away from my device and just gone about doing the things like setting up this beautiful space that I need to do my soul work, I've recognized a whole heap of stuff that's happened, particularly in the last week of my life, that fits in with what I actually think might be a bigger picture here. And I also got a similar message about something on a global scale, of kind of like this bait and hook setup, or this poisoned apple setup. I don't know, for those of you that watched the tarot reading that I did last weekend, but I noticed the apple in the tree and just got this Adam and Eve and poisoned apple kind of vibe, forbidden fruit kind of vibe. And I've been sitting with that, and actually I've had a whole heap of stuff come in, including from TikTok, around that piece. But what I want to say first, before I go into some of these, what I think might be happening, is the dark energies, and sorry everyone for those that aren't quite on this path yet, we're about to go there, but the dark energies that are recognizing we're on this path to ascension, that we really are at this tipping point, and these timelines are diverging right now, and there's a whole heap of us on this new earth timeline, this higher timeline. They're recognizing that we can recognize when something isn't aligned with our truth. They're recognizing that we're doing everything we can, including disconnecting from news and media and movies and some music, to avoid having our vibration lowered. So they know they're running out of opportunities to lower our vibration. Food has just come in as another path there. So there's like minimal ways that they can access us and our energy right now, both to lower our vibration, but the other thing that's just come through is to feed off our energy. Interesting. So what has come through for me about this content that I've been tapping into, and I'm not, before I say this, I'm not saying that these content creators are intentionally doing this. I hope not. I'm trying to assume positive intent of everybody, is that there is content being released out there that is portraying itself as something that it's not. So it is speaking truth that we all align with. It's speaking truths that we can recognize as what we know is taking place in the world. But what the sense I'm getting is there's some energy behind that isn't in alignment. So the content is in alignment, but the energy behind it isn't. And one of the big examples of this for me that I don't think feeds into my experience the last couple of nights, but as I've fed all this together, I can see how much of this is taking place in my life right now, is that I recently signed up for a course that is planned to happen next year. I recognized a few weeks later that course probably wasn't in energetic alignment with me based on some of the things I'd heard, but also just feeling a little bit more into their content that is available, and decided to cancel that course. Anyway, their response to that absolutely confirms that they were not in energetic alignment with me, or with actually how they're portraying themselves to be. And that's made me recognize that I think there is a piece of this here in the content that we might be tapping into on social media as well. That there may well be content out there that is presenting itself as aligned with us, that are light workers or starseeds, or trying really consciously to walk this path of ascension from whatever reason, path, soul purpose that we are called here to do that for. But the energy behind it is like a Trojan horse. I just realized in my meditation at some point this week I had a Trojan horse come through, and I had no idea what that meant, and how I do. They are Trojan horses. They are poisoned apples. And so it's more important than ever for us to be very conscious and aware of the content we're consuming, of everything that we're consuming actually right now. Conversations, food, water, content. Yeah, across the board, be very conscious and cautious. And wherever possible, to just not go searching for it. To try and disconnect, at least for now, from those platforms that might have previously been really helpful for us to, for those of us on this path, to actually feel less alone in this path. But right now, that's not, unless you're really confident that you can feel into the energies behind all of these videos, and good for you if you are, but that's not a necessarily safe place for us to be getting our information. Let's spend some more time connecting to ourselves, to our guides, and receiving the information that we need to receive that way. So that's pretty big, pretty heavy. It's really not been very nice for me to work through. I'm sure you can recognize that in some of the emotions that came up earlier, but felt really important for me to share. Probably fairly obviously, the things that I've been doing today have been cleansing myself, being really intentional, setting a blessing over the water as I had my shower, as a way to wash off any energy that had tried to attach itself to me, really consciously putting a protective light bubble around me. I've been using my energy cleansing tools, my Palo Santo, my bells, my sound bowls, my crystals, and disconnecting from my device really. And I've deleted TikTok, and I'm not saying TikTok is a bad platform, but I've deleted it for now because I got so hooked on that. Oh, this is fascinating. So I'm not going searching for content even across all platforms right now. I know I have to have faith in my guides that they will give me what I need to know right now to walk the path that I need to walk. So I would love to hear if any of this resonates for you, if you've experienced similar things, if you can now recognize you've experienced similar things. Please look after yourselves out there. That even just this realization has been a pretty heavy one for me to grapple with, which is why it felt so important to get out there. I think I'm going to leave that there. Yeah, please look after yourself, stay in your light, connect to yourself. And if I can offer any support in that way through intuitive energy healing, clearing, anything in that regards, please feel free to reach out. My website is now live. The My Body Soul Awakening course is now ready for registration, and bookings are available. So wishing you all a beautiful rest of your weekend, and the rest of the year. 2024 is nearly done, and it's more important than ever that we stay grounded in our own energy as we walk into 2025 and all that is to come there. Thanks everyone. Bye.